The Vatican is revered as the spiritual heart of the Catholic Church, home to the Pope, a sanctuary of sacred relics, and a vault of priceless art. But behind the marble halls and centuries-old rituals lies something far more elusive, a global empire of wealth. Today, we uncover one of the most secretive financial networks in the world. How did the Vatican amass its fortune? Where does the money come from? And how has it endured for centuries through war, scandal, and sweeping shifts in power? This is the hidden financial empire of the Vatican. To understand how the Vatican became one of the wealthiest entities on Earth, we have to go back almost 2,000 years. In the early centuries of Christianity, the Church was anything but wealthy. It was a persecuted minority, often forced to worship in secret. But everything changed in the year 313 when Roman Emperor Constantine issued the Edict of Milan, legalizing Christianity in the Roman Empire. Not long after, Christianity became the official religion of Rome, and the Church's fortunes began to shift dramatically. Donations from wealthy Roman citizens flooded in, lands were granted, churches were built, and the Church gained not only spiritual authority, but material wealth. Over the next few centuries, this momentum grew. By the Middle Ages, the Church owned vast swaths of land across Europe, much of it acquired through donations from nobles, hoping to secure a place in heaven. But the biggest transformation came in 756 AD with the formation of the Papal States. These were lands in central Italy controlled directly by the Pope. For over 1,000 years, the Church ruled as both a religious and political power, collecting taxes, levying armies, and expanding its economic influence. Fast forward to the 19th century. The Papal States had been dissolved, and the Pope's territorial control was reduced to virtually nothing. But in 1929, a pivotal agreement changed everything. The Lateran Treaty, signed between the Holy See and the Italian government under Benito Mussolini, officially recognized the Vatican as an independent state. Along with sovereignty, the treaty included a massive payout, around 750 million lira in cash and Italian bonds, worth hundreds of millions today. This deal created the financial foundation of the modern Vatican. But what happened next turned that payout into an empire. In 1942, during the chaos of World War II, the Vatican established the Istituto per le Opere di Religione, better known as the Vatican Bank. Officially, its mission was to manage funds for religious works and charities, but unofficially, it became a hub of secretive financial dealings. Over the decades, the Vatican Bank has been linked to money laundering, mafia connections, and financial scandals. One of the most infamous scandals involved the Vatican Bank being deeply entangled in the collapse of Banco Ambrosiano, one of Italy's largest private banks. The key link between the two institutions was Archbishop Paul Marcinkus, an American cleric who headed the Vatican Bank at the time. He developed a close working relationship with Roberto Calvi, the chairman of Banco Ambrosiano. Calvi sought to expand the bank's operations internationally and needed a trustworthy partner to move large sums of money discreetly. The Vatican Bank, with its status as a sovereign institution, was an ideal partner. Banco Ambrosiano, with support from the Vatican Bank, created a network of offshore shell companies in Panama, the Bahamas, and other financial havens. These entities were used to funnel and obscure large transactions. The Vatican Bank provided letters of patronage for these shell companies, effectively vouching for them and allowing them to secure loans and conduct international transfers. The Vatican Bank signed documents that were interpreted by some as guarantees for hundreds of millions of dollars in loans. When Banco Ambrosiano collapsed in 1982 due to over $1.3 billion in unaccounted-for debt, these letters became the focus of legal and public scrutiny. The Vatican denied direct responsibility but eventually agreed to a goodwill settlement with creditors. Roberto Calvi was found hanged under Blackfriars Bridge in London in June 1982, shortly after the scandal broke. Though initially ruled a suicide, further investigation suggested he may have been murdered by organized crime groups fearing exposure. The Ambrosiano affair severely damaged the Vatican's reputation. It raised global questions about the Church's financial practices and lack of transparency. Although Archbishop Marcinkus was never charged and remained under Vatican protection, his role remained controversial until his retirement. Despite these controversies, the Vatican's financial empire continued to grow. It invested in global markets, real estate, and even secular businesses, including real estate in London, luxury apartments in Switzerland, and shares in energy, banking, and insurance firms. So, where exactly does the Vatican get its money today? The Church has several income streams. Chief among them is Peter's Pence, an annual worldwide collection of donations from Catholics intended to support the Pope's charitable activities. While it once served a purely spiritual mission, investigations have revealed that large portions have been used to cover deficits or fund controversial investments. The Vatican owns billions in real estate across Italy, Europe, and even parts of North America. Some estimates put its property portfolio at over 5,000 assets globally. Many of these properties generate rental income. The Vatican museums, including the Sistine Chapel, attract millions of tourists each year. Entrance fees alone bring in over $100 million annually. The Holy See manages a portfolio that includes stocks, bonds, and alternative investments. The Vatican has worked with global banks and investment firms to manage these assets, often in secretive or opaque ways. Despite this wealth, the Vatican routinely runs a budget deficit. In 2020, for instance, it faced a nearly $60 million shortfall, but its net assets, which could exceed $20 billion depending on how you measure them, act as a long-term cushion. In recent years, under Pope Francis, the Vatican has attempted to clean up its finances. He initiated audits, created new oversight roles, and even prosecuted high-ranking officials involved in financial mismanagement. One recent scandal involved a failed $200 million investment in a luxury real estate property in London's Chelsea district. The property was a warehouse that developers hoped to convert into high-end apartments. The deal involved $200 million over several years, making it one of the Vatican's largest known commercial investments. The investment was funded in part using money from Peter's Pence, a fund meant for charitable causes and the Pope's personal initiatives. The Vatican entered into the deal through complex financial instruments involving middlemen, hedge funds, and shell companies. Much of the transaction was kept secret from oversight authorities. By 2018, concerns began to surface within the Vatican about how the deal was structured. The property's value was not increasing as expected, and the Vatican found itself locked into escalating fees and unfavorable terms. Moreover, some financial partners allegedly took advantage of the Holy See's inexperience in commercial real estate. In 2019, Vatican authorities launched an investigation into the deal. The investigation revealed financial misconduct, including fraud, embezzlement, and abuse of office. In 2021, the Vatican put 10 individuals on trial, including Cardinal Angelo Becciu, a high-ranking Vatican official, marking the first time a cardinal had been tried by a Vatican court. Still, transparency remains a challenge. The Vatican is not subject to international financial regulations in the same way most states are. Independent audits are rare, and internal investigations often lack teeth. Critics argue that without full financial disclosure and regulatory compliance, the Vatican Bank and other entities will remain susceptible to corruption. Why does a spiritual institution command such vast material resources? Should a church that preaches humility hold luxury apartments and billion-dollar portfolios? And is it right for faithful Catholics to see their donations used for high-risk investments rather than charity? Defenders argue that this wealth is used to support missions, education, disaster relief, and the preservation of priceless cultural heritage. But critics say more must be done to align the Church's finances with its moral teachings. In recent years, scandals and shifting public attitudes have forced the Vatican to confront these issues head-on. And while change is happening, the process is slow and often resisted by entrenched interests. The Vatican remains one of the most influential institutions in the world. Its wealth has played a role in shaping economies, politics, and lives around the globe. Understanding where that money comes from and how it's used offers a rare glimpse into the balance between faith and finance. So, the next time you gaze at St. Peter's Basilica or admire the ceiling of the Sistine Chapel, remember, behind the art and holiness lies a story of empire, economics, and centuries of calculated growth. Should the Vatican be more transparent about its finances?